Well, new Republican governor of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin, with a list of executive orders, one of them dealing with mask mandates in schools, getting a lot of attention already in Washington, neighboring. Let's bring in our panel. Trey Gowdy, former congressman from South Carolina. Molly Hemingway, senior editor at The Federalist, and Juan Williams is a Fox News analyst. Molly, what about this? And, you know, it's interesting that when it came to mandates, the Biden administration, you know, was pro-mandate as far as executive order, and obviously the Supreme Court has prevented them from the business side moving forward. But now there's a big uproar about Glenn Youngkin's executive orders about mask mandates.
Yeah, their position seems to be that blue governors can issue mandates, or blue presidents, but not red presidents, and that doesn't seem to be how it works in the real world. Glenn Youngkin won this state that Biden won by 10 points, by promising parents that they could have a say in their children's education, whether that's in the curriculum or in whether they decide to mask their children. And this is an issue that clearly worked very well for him in winning that election, and also will probably be a big issue going forward. People are, of course, free to put 2, 3, 4, or however many masks they want to on their children under this Youngkin ban on a mandate, but now parents who do not think that's in their child's best interest, either for health reasons or for developmental learning issues or social learning or any of the number of reasons why you might oppose it. And remember, studies show that there is no statistically significant health benefit to masking children, but there are a lot of downsides to masking children, particularly compelling them to be masked.
Jen Psaki was touting one of the school districts that's pushing back on this executive order. She tweeted, "Hi there, Arlington County parent here. Don't believe you are at Glenn Youngkin, but correct me if I'm wrong. Thank you to the school district for standing up for our kids, teachers and administrators, and their safety in the midst of a transmissible variant." Trey?
I just find that so stunning that a school district would be more interested in the welfare of children than the parents. And Brett, I got to confess, I live in South Carolina. We don't follow Virginia that closely. I'm pretty sure he ran on this. I'm almost positive he won. And I'm trying to think, I think the word that we hear a lot now is anti-democratic. Wouldn't it be anti-democratic for him not to do what he said he was going to do? So if you don't like it, then win in a blue state. But they didn't. He's doing exactly what he campaigned on.
Juan?
That's a fair point, Trey. Elections have consequences, as we say, and policies are going to change. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Now, in terms of the school districts, you know, the local counties pushing back, remember, local school districts have tremendous autonomy in the United States. Federal and state governments can try to manipulate money and funds to try to press them on various issues, but ultimately they don't usually win. And it usually goes to courts where they're adjudicated, but they don't usually win. And with regard to children, you know, I think when you look at what Jen Psaki said, I think every parent in America thinks, you know what, schools are a communal setting. We want to protect all the children. And I think that's why people have concerns about if one child says, I'm not doing it, and that child is spreading something, it impacts the entire school.
All right, now let's talk about voting rights and this push by the administration to try to get this bill through. Does not have the numbers in the Senate. Here is kind of a changing tone, Molly, from the president on this.
Do you want to be on the side of Dr. King or George Wallace? Do you want to be on the side of John Lewis or Bull Connor? Do you want to be on the side of Abraham Lincoln or Jefferson Davis?
Where do we stand? Whose side are we on? Will we stand against voter suppression, yes or no? Will we stand against election subversion, yes or no?
So different phrasing there, and there was obviously a lot of pushback from even within his own party about that original speech in Atlanta.
Yeah, that original speech, a lot of people in the media loved it, but it went over like a lead balloon on Capitol Hill, calling people racist for opposing his fairly radical voting changes legislation. The thing is, this whole issue, whether he's softer in the rhetoric or not, has been an extreme gaslighting of America. Nobody thinks that we have a voting rights problem like we had in 1964 in this country. Nobody thinks that in an election where you had tens of millions of people voting with no problem, that you have a voting rights problem. We do have an issue where election integrity is in question, where we had hundreds of changes to our laws and processes, sometimes done in an unconstitutional manner, where we flooded the zone with tens of millions of mail-in ballots, where we had insecure drop boxes. And so this idea that if you care about election integrity or you want to make it slightly more difficult to cheat, that you are therefore engaging in voter suppression is a lie. And it's really a dangerous lie that should not be said because, of course, if both winners and losers can't trust election results, and that changes depending on the election, who's frustrated by this, then you can't have a republic going forward. And so this rhetoric, while softer, is still dangerous if we want to have a country going forward.
Trey, we put up earlier the Gallup poll and the big shift that we've seen in self-identifying Democrats and Republicans. Now there's all kinds of analysis about this bad situation over the past year, and Democrats, well, they've just had some interesting things to say. Here is Paul Begala.
He got infrastructure passed, and that's a good thing because success can breed success. He is putting the full force of the presidency behind it. I think the problem for the Democrats right now is not that they have bad leaders. They have bad followers.
They have bad followers. It sounds like a basket full of deplorables or something.
I think he needs to get a rag and get that Kool-Aid off his upper lip. I mean, that sounds delusional. I'll give you a perfect example. Joe Biden eulogized a man who ran for president as a segregationist. He was friends with other segregationists when he was in the U.S. Senate. So what I think people are wondering is if people can change, can states change? Like my own in South Carolina, where we have one of only 3 black U.S. senators. And by the way, 2 of the 3 are from states that they want to monitor under the Voting Rights Act. Georgia and South Carolina, 2 of the 3. So we've had an Indian descent governor. Our Chief Justice is an African American, and we have the highest ranking African American in the House, Jim Clyburn, who will stay in office as long as he lives and maybe even beyond that. So I'll just be damned if South Carolina needs limousine liberals telling us that our state has not changed. And when that's the message, then yeah, your party's in trouble.
Juan, what about the bad followers line?
Well, I like that bad followers line. I thought it was funny, because if you talk to people in the Democratic Party right now in terms of their disappointment with Biden, it's what's driving down the poll numbers. It's what's driving down that chart that you put up earlier, Brett. It's not Republicans. Republicans never bought in, right? So what you're seeing is that people who were supportive are saying, hey, where are the results right now? And we wanted results on X, Y, Z, be it the climate, be it voting rights. And they say, we don't see it, and so they're disappointed. Does that carry through to the midterms? Does it carry through to 2024? I don't know. Obviously, right now, people are having basically a referendum on the first year of President Biden.